All right, we are back in action. What's up, everybody? Ben Reza here for Odd Shopper. College football week 2 is upon us. Soon we'll be talking about bowl season. That's how fast it goes. So let's enjoy every minute of it. And of course, we're going to have bets to be made. That's right. I'm going to go through some of the big games, give you some of my plays, not all of them, of course, but we're going to have some fun. We're going to put some bets on the board and hopefully set the tone for a profitable week. Want to welcome to the channel all things betting, picks, tools, breakdowns, NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, whatever you want. Make Odd Chopper and Tails your home for all of it. Find the people that work for you, find the tools that work for you. It's us against the books out there. We're trying to find value, and that's what we hope this channel provides for you. If you like it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Last week though. Yesterday was Thursday Night Football. Pretty rocky start, all in all. It was not even on a win-loss side. It was more in the context of the most important games were my biggest missteps. Clemson, probably my most important game of the entire week. Just outplayed at home. That was a really tough one. Texas, team that had a lot of boosts associated with them. I actually thought they played pretty well, all in all. They didn't even play well. They had chances, a lot of chances. Arch was no good. He'll be fine long term, but it's week 1. You can't overreact. We saw some weird outcomes. We saw a lot of teams do what they need to do, and then there's Alabama, who that was the most disappointing outcome for any team, I think, pretty clearly. But that's not what we're here to do. We can recap all that stuff in Discord, in Tails, all that. We're here to pick some winners for this week. And let's get it started. Let's dive right into some plays. Here we go. Right here. Starting with this game. May not be the game that you're thinking about. It may not be the game at the height of your radar, but it should be. This is a good game. This is a real game. And Illinois is the real deal. I'm declaring them playoff worthy right off the bat. Someone like Indiana last year is going to surprise, and I think it's going to be them. Now, we didn't get to see that in week 1. Not through anything that they did. It was an opponent situation. They played Western Illinois, and that's just not going to get it done. There's really no, 52-3 is 52-3. There's no takeaways. There's no anything from that. Duke played Elon. There's not that much takeaways from that either. They're both FCS schools. They were both dominated. All is well and good. 2.5 point spread on the road. I get that, but let's talk about these teams, and I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I'm just very bullish on Illinois on both sides of the ball. Altmaier is a good quarterback. He can move. He's got experience at this point, and I do think despite having a lot of unknowns at wide receiver, they can work through that. They've got a stable of backs they can lean on. The line holds up. I don't fear Duke's defense. Illinois will be able to move the ball. Now, on the other side, this is where I think the real value is. I trust Illinois' defense immensely. The secondary, I think, is on the short list for truly elite secondaries. Up front, maybe they get run on. I don't think Duke is super equipped to do that. Maybe they have the advantage with the O-line. I think that's somewhat debatable. Duke's got experience at quarterback as well. They brought in their transfer portal, from Tulane, and we didn't get to see a ton last week because of an inferior opponent. It should be a hard-fought game, but to me, these are two teams on two different levels. I like Illinois across the board here. I think they will have advantages on offense. They will pick their spots. It's a 48.5 point total, so we don't need 40 points from them. I would take that, but we certainly don't need it. And I don't know what DraftKings is doing here, and then I look at their defense. I really do think that this is going to be a unit that's going to age really nicely this year. Again, the secondary, I have zero doubts about. That is a huge asset up front. I don't think that it's the strongest unit, but is Duke equipped to exploit that? To me, the answer is no. On the road, laying 2.5, everything about that screams trap. I'll be the first to admit it. I'll also be the first to admit I simply do not care. Inside 3, even at minus 115, the Illini, first bet on the board for me this week. Already bet this in Tails days ago, and I got my 2.5, and I'm very content with that. That's where we're going. Now, let's get to the opposite of this. I'm going to throw like a couple of weird ones in here and then some of the good ones. This is as weird as it gets. This could border on the word would be stupid, but I honestly think that Penn State at 41.5 is playable. So I want to just preface this. a lot of people are just like, I have no interest in laying that many points. I totally respect that. I tend to be the same way just because it can be 54 nothing and then they give up a couple touchdowns late and you don't cover. Penn State is not going to be playing their starters late in this game, but I don't think it really matters, to be honest. First of all, they have Villanova next week. So they have an FCS opponent. So they don't really need to gear down much at all. They scored 46 points against Nevada. They gave up 11. I actually thought it was pretty bad on both sides of the ball relative to how good I think Penn State is. This is the type of game, it's going to be like 40 nothing at halftime, and you're going to have to sweat out the second half. That's just the nature of it. FIU played Bethune-Cookman, and they won 42-9. It was 7-3 at the end of the first. None of this really matters. I don't see many ways that they make an impact. Jenkins at quarterback, he was fine. He had a whopping 185 yards last week. It doesn't matter. None of this is relevant. Obviously, Penn State could win by 70 if they want to. They certainly don't want to do that. They're not going to do that. But this is the type of game, and you can see it on the implied total. FAU's not, I don't think they're hanging double-digit points. And I think Penn State hangs 50 here. This says 48 nothing, 55-3, 58-7, something like that in the range. Inside 6 touchdowns. I know that sounds like a crazy statement. You could do worse. If you have boosts where you need like 5 legs, I'm putting this in my boost. So I wanted to get that in there. Again, I don't think that's why people are stopping by the video. Maybe it is. Maybe you wanted the Penn State breakdown. And again, I'm not going to get into personnel from Aller to Singleton, just Allen. Just everything they do is going to be a problem for FIU. No one is saying otherwise. We know that there's a lot of these spreads. If I had to give you 2 where I would really lay a ton of points, it would be Penn State 1 and Alabama 2 for different reasons. Penn State, I think, is that good. Alabama, they need something to feel good about themselves. Louisiana Monroe, I think, was going to be the sacrificial lamb on Saturday because if they don't look impressive, not that they're going to lose, but if anything crazy happens, the thermostat, the hot seat is going to get Dante's Peak level dangerous for DeBoer. So that's another story for another time, but keep that in mind. All right. 2 quick picks right on the board. We're making great time. Like I said, I had a couple people say, hey, dive right into it. I hear you. Let's get to some picks, no doubt. But I also do want to mention, if you want to get into some picks, I've got the spot for you. And it's right here on Odd Shopper and specifically the Tails Marketplace. The app is live. Download the app, go to Tails Expert Picks and download it. And you see right here, this is my feed. We got so many sharp people. DK DFS is dropping a ton of picks. Mr. Mike 10693 is in my Discord with me. Greg Ehrenberg. This is my feed of people. You can search for whoever you want. You get the picks sent right to your device. You can also explore. So if you're like, you know what? I don't know who I want to follow. Well, just come here and get a ton of free. This is all free content, by the way. Absolutely free. Come and join us. The link's in the description below. Click it. You'll get to the free picks page. You also can get to my personalized stuff where I have a ton of free picks. I also have a ton of stuff inside the Discord. All of it. It's a good time. It's not going away. If anything, this is the future where you don't have to sift through all the clutter and all the nonsense out there. You just get content made for you, curated to you. It's all sports betting centric over on Tails. Now, let's get to some games. Scrolling. Yeah, Penn State. Oh, look at that. Save 3 cents. Shout out to Kent State. They won last week. Now they're they're down by 50 points. All right. Here we go. Oklahoma State and Oregon, the Ducks. Should we be laying 27.5? Honestly, I think you can, but I like the over even more. Over 55.5 right here. OK State and Oregon. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about these teams and see what we can figure out. So last week, I watched the Oklahoma State game from start to finish. And you're probably thinking, well, who the hell did they play? I'll tell you, they played Tennessee Martin. And now your next question is going to be, why were you watching that? It's because I bet Tennessee Martin. Oklahoma State did not look great. I'll be honest. They did get the job done. Credit to them at home. but it was a lackluster performance in my mind. They only scored 27 points, and even worse for them, their quarterback, it seemed like they were going to run a committee, as the announcer from the game tells me. He got hurt right at the beginning of the game. He hurt, it looks like a long-term injury. So Zane Flores comes in relief. He was going to play. They had a lot of oars on that depth chart, but now it seems like they are a little out of options. I don't have a lot to say about this team because, man, it's not looking good. And Gundy already taking shots at Oregon. Not smart. What did the Ducks do? Nothing. They scored 59 points in week one. Gave up 13, which we would gladly take here. I could live with something like that. Again, their offense didn't miss a beat. Everything is still rolling for them. They'll have big games down the road. This is not one of them. It's a 4-touchdown spread. I think it gets out of hand. I said this last week with a couple of totals. We're actually decent on the total side of things. I like a game like this for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think it's impossible that Oklahoma State manufactures some points. Maybe Oregon's defense isn't that good. They gave up 13 to an FCS opponent. Maybe Oklahoma State scores 20 or 24 points. If that happens, we're there. Oregon might just score 59 points again. That's very live to happen. They're a high-octane offense. Oklahoma State's defense is certainly better than what they saw last week, but Oklahoma State's defense is not any good, in my opinion. UT Martin actually moved the ball. They just couldn't punch it in when they needed to. This is going to be out of hand. 55.5 at minus 105. Not bad. Obviously, would I love to capture some other key numbers? Sure. But you are capturing, some of the key numbers at the same time. If it dipped to 54.5, that would be even better. You would capture 31.24 type equities. You can extend it upwards, which is more likely like 38.17, 45.10, all that type of stuff. But to me, this is just a game Oregon's going to dictate. They will not hesitate to run it up. They'll be able to run it up. They're going to look damn good, as they always do. I could make a case for 27.5, but I would rather hit this over at minus 105. Give me the over in the Oklahoma State-Oregon game. So we got 3 picks already on the board. If there are games, and there's got to be plenty, that I have not gotten to on this video, you can do 2 things, and they're both super easy. 1, tweet me, Ras Bets, handles on the screen, and say, hey, what do you think about Kansas and Missouri? What do you think about Delaware and Colorado? What do you think about UMass? Why are you recommending them, you idiot? All of those are good questions for me. Also, of course, link in the description. If you want to actually talk through some things, see how I'm using Boost, get in touch with the community, not just with me, you can do that as well in Discord. Great times. That's where it's at. Austin Peay's playing Georgia. Who knew? All right. So, again, a lot of big spreads. This is also ridiculous. Why Grambling and Ohio State are playing, I have no idea. I'm interested to see if they cover. Certainly not betting that, but I am interested to see. Another FCS school, Cincinnati, was somewhere. Oh, yeah, here they are. They're going to demolish a team. Middle Tennessee State, my worst pick of the week last week. They got crushed by an FCS school. I got 4 points of closing line value. That one is on the Hall of Shame. Shout out to South Florida. And let's get to the big game of the week. Here we go. Right here. Norman, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Oklahoma. Don't mind if I do. 4.5, minus 115. There it is. There are boosts as well. Let's talk about it. So, this is a great game. I can't wait to see this. I think that Oklahoma is a team that I know I'm bullish on. I've said this several times. If, and it's a big if, they win this game, they're going to be undefeated going into Texas. They will be 5-0, and that will be must-see TV. Michigan maybe is better than I think. So let's talk about what we saw in week 1. Not much. And it wasn't anybody's fault. It's just, again, a product of what we had to deal with. Michigan did not look super good. 34-17. Bryce Underwood was effective. He's a super recruit, borderline prodigy. He's going to have a lot harder time against Oklahoma than New Mexico. New Mexico's no good. 34-17. Not impressive. They got the job done. They have bigger things to deal with than that, including Oklahoma. The games at night in Norman where they're deadly. They didn't do anything either. They had Illinois State, who's an FCS school, and they did what they had to do. They held them to absolutely no production whatsoever. 35-3. Pretty lackluster. So I'll get Michigan out of the way because I want to talk more about Oklahoma. I don't know what to really make of Michigan outside the fact that I know they're going to have a good defense. I don't think it's the best of the best, and I don't really trust their offense. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I still think that all in all, they don't really have an identity. I don't trust their O-line as much as I have in the years past. They have a great prospect at quarterback, but I have only seen him playing against New Mexico, and he looked fine. This is a tough test for Michigan. It's a 44.5-point total, so points are going to be at a premium here. You got to limit mistakes. And if they do that, they'll have a shot. But everything about Michigan, I trust Oklahoma's whatever more, starting with Mateer at quarterback. Now, again, it's Illinois State, but he threw for nearly 400 yards. He's a true dual threat. The concern, again, it's not a concern in deterring me from betting it. Oklahoma really couldn't run the ball much at all. That's a kind of disturbing against an FCS opponent. 3.2 yards per carry. That's not great. They weren't particularly stout against the run either. They did only allow 34 yards passing, though. So this defense, serious business. I'm really high on that. Venables, of course, is a defensive guy. Offensively, we'll see against this Michigan front and just Michigan secondary as well. But the key for Oklahoma last year and this year is health. It's all health related. They did not have a real team last year. Everybody got hurt from the O-line. The wide receivers were decimated. The backfield, Ott barely played last week, but they have multiple guys that they can go there. To me, this starts with Mateer. It ends with the defense, and it ends with Oklahoma getting the job done. I think there's a real chance that Michigan only puts up like 10 or 13 points in this spot. It's a perfect environment for Oklahoma to take a real step forward and show, they're not on Texas, Georgia's level, but they might be on that next tier of teams vying for, the Ole Miss, Florida, Tennessee types in a obviously loaded conference. This is a big test for them. And even for Michigan on the other side in the Big Ten, it's Penn State, of course, Ohio State, Oregon. Is there room for more at the top? I mentioned Illinois in this video. Indiana's not going away. Where is Michigan? Are they with USC in kind of the mid-pack, or do they belong with the big boys? It's one game, but this is a game and a data point that I certainly think we want to see. If you have boosts, to me, team total for Michigan under, Oklahoma alt lines. If you have props, I think you could look to Mateer on the ground. I think he'll be a lot more active. I don't have props, so I can't do that. We can go through them, though. Again, get in touch with me. I'm happy to look at that. This is why, as we get closer to Saturday, you're going to want that type of stuff. You're going to want to be in Discord, and you're going to want to follow on Tails. If you press follow, and right to your device, and that following is totally free, 100% free. Again, link in the description of this video. It takes you 2 minutes to get set up, and then you're in business. But Oklahoma -4.5. I think my favorite bet of the week. Them or Illinois. All right, let's recap this, and then we're going to bounce on out of here. Short and sweet. Nice 4-pack of picks. Plenty more with all the boosts out there. See what we've got going on here. 3-pick parlay. Very good. Where's my bet slip? I got to zoom out, I guess. Oh, here we go. Illinois, Penn State, and Oklahoma over on DraftKings, all -115s. So shop this. You want to save that juice. I know it seems like it doesn't matter. Trust me, it matters. Same bets over here. Penn State, we get them out of here. And we've got an over for a good measure on Oklahoma State and Oregon. There we have it, friends. A just good time for week 2. The season is just getting started. So much going on. Look at this. I'm pressing fire emojis over here. Why not? Because I am just super excited for everything that we have going on at Tails and everything going on in the college football world this week. Thanks for tuning in. hopefully you have a couple picks to maybe add to your own, or you get a good idea of what I'm doing for the week. And as always, you can find everything that I'm doing right here on OddsShopper and right on the Tails app all season long. On that note, let's have a good week too. Get some momentum early in the season. That never hurt anybody. Can't wait to see the games, and win, lose, draw, something else. Doesn't matter. We'll be back next week, same time, same place.